in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Solve this problem. So I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started, and there's a crowd that is relishing that.
The holy grail of fake news, when they could actually say the opposite of what everybody was seeing. I love it. I love it when the people see the truth, and the liars either can't or won't, right? They just, where the so-called media elites can't or won't. It's really the wisdom of the masses. You know, people talk about the madness of crowds, and yeah, if you form a mob, that can be an ugly thing. But people are amazing, and they get it. They get it. They get it better than Hollywood executives. They get it better than people in Congress. They just get it. And they do. We do. A prime example of this is really the Iran situation. I've seen the polls. The polls actually indicate that there's a hell of a lot of support for where we are right now, and a great deal of optimism that this is going to be good for America. The other thing is, no one's really talking about it. It doesn't seem to be a big talker. Yes, talk radio. Yes, cable news. Yes. But day in and day out, this is just not worrying the American people. It's, and that's an indication, because the American people, we have pretty good antennae. You know, we know when something is a legitimate issue and when something isn't. And this is being managed and contained by our elected leaders. And I want to see them continue, and let me know. Let me know when it's done. Yeah, from time to time we'll comment. And I know Ted Cruz has things to say, and people have legitimate concerns, and, you know, maybe Israel should be at that negotiation. You know, Israel's got some legitimate beef here, and they got to worry about Hezbollah, which is right next door. I would kind of like to know, you know, Iran, they deny that they're funding these terror groups around the world. So why would you care if Hezbollah gets hit? What does that have to do with Iran? Oh, maybe you are funding these guys, huh? Is that what's going on? Something else that's kind of a hot, it was hot. Now people don't talk about it anymore. But USAID, the United States International Aid Program, you know, it was essentially reduced dramatically because there was so much waste, fraud, and abuse. And you hear this fiction going around: United States Agency for International Development, United States Agency for International Money Making, because very little of that money was actually getting to the people who needed it. Just listen to this lady who actually is the top diplomat. Is that true? In all of Africa. You know, they have the African Union, and which actually does carry a lot of weight. And she is the top representative for the African Union in Washington, D.C. And let's listen to what she has to say about USAID and its record and where we are now. Hit it, Carlos.
Ms. Powers, did USAID fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
We did not fund gain-of-function research.
Hey, do me a favor. Do me a favor. This is that monster, Samantha Power. We're going to get to her in a minute. But I want to go to the African Union lady. The one, Carlos, who's wearing the dark yellowish orange turban on her head. You see her? Nothing wrong with wearing a turban, you know. I mean, and I'm just trying to get your eyes on it. All right, so go ahead.
We need to understand the real reason why USAID is in Africa. Their sole purpose was to act as if They're coming to rescue Africa. They're coming to fill in the gaps in government services, gaps in education, gaps in healthcare. They are coming in claiming that they're introducing grassroots initiatives that are going to help the people. And so they use that as a way to go into the most remote parts of Africa. They're talking about government advocacy. When you look at it on paper, it all looks really good, but they're actually wolf in sheep's clothing. They are using that open access sounding humanitarian to constantly destabilize governments. I can tell you right now, the majority of African leaders, and not just African leaders, but leaders in the developing world, are celebrating the exit of USAID.
That's kind of interesting. Did you know all that? And this is the former head of USAID. That's a customer of USAID. And Samantha Power actually ran USAID under Obama. She was a big she hated Hillary Clinton. In fact, she's the one who called Hillary Clinton a monster, and they kicked her off the Obama campaign because they had to back in 2008, and then they brought her back in. She's got red hair, and talk about the Messiah complex. You've seen those pictures, by the way. People go into like an African village. Often they're white and like, look at me, I'm helping all these savages, right? Look at me, I'm helping all these people. Oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. Well, that's a very ethnocentric point of view, right? That can be, hey, wait a second. You just don't understand what's happening here. You don't understand their way of life. They're not savages. They're very actually sophisticated and wise. And you're literally bringing in brand new disease. That's the contribution of USAID, right? Ethnocentric, obtuse, the ugly American, if you will. Remember that stereotype? All right, so here we go. Rand Paul with the head of USAID and the tie-in to COVID. Hit it, please.
Ms. Powers, did USAID fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
We did not fund gain-of-function research,
That's not the
as
question.
you know.
The question is, did you fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
Before my time, there was the PREDICT program with which you're familiar, which ended in China in 2019.
Yeah, this is a $200 million program, and the GAO has also identified that some of these grants went directly to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where there is a suspicion that the lab leak began the pandemic. Has USAID awarded funds to the Academy of Military Medical Sciences in China?
Not to my knowledge, but I'd have to give.
I think the answer is once again yes. GAO has found that there have been subawards of NIH money, as probably as well as USAID money, that went to the Academy of not just medical research, military medical research in China. Now, part of the unknowns here is we can't get the records to look at this. So I've been asking for months and months for records. In September of last year, I wrote Ms. Powers, USAID, a request asking for records from the PREDICT program. These are not classified. These are simply records of scientific research, and we want to read the grants to find out what they were doing and whether the research was dangerous or not. The response I got from your agency was USAID will not be providing any documents at this time. They're just unwilling to give documents on scientific grant proposal. We're paying for it. They're asking for $745 million more in money, and we get no response. So 2 weeks ago, the ranking member, Risch, myself, and 25 other Republican senators, unfortunately, so far, signed a letter once again. It's still no response. We're not asking for classified information. We're not asking for anything unusual. 20 million people died around the world. You're supposed to be an agency that cares about the death of people around the world. We, talk about starvation and famine, and 20 million people died from a virus, and you won't give us the basic information about what grants you're funding around the world and who you're funding. Should we be funding the Academy of Military Medical Research in China? They're now off limits. But did we fund them? And who was making the decision? You know who ran the PREDICT program? UC Davis. Have you had any conversations with UC Davis about research in China and whether it was advisable?
So again, to set the record straight, first of all, the PREDICT program ended in 2019. We have people...
And yet it goes on in other forums and other names.
That's Certainly
Well-
not USAID program.
Well,
does
you
not
have
go
you have a program called Emergency Pandemic Threats Program still, don't you?
If I could just finish in response to the first set of allegations, we have provided hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents related to the PREDICT program for the very reason that you say, because we are in broad
Not to
agreement.
us.
This is amazing. And you know what?
an
Okay,
exchange.
you can stop it. It gets a little bit technical, but she is very bureaucratic. And if you tell the truth carefully enough, you never have to lie. There's that game going on, but you can't win against a guy like Rand Paul. But the first 8 seconds or so, when he asked that question, and it's her answer is to something that he wasn't asking, which is kind of even more incriminating. I saw that in All the President's Men. They call the White House and say, "Hey, is Charlie there?" Yes, I had nothing to do with the Watergate. And he, like, okay, I guess you had something to do with the Watergate. Do me a favor, take it from the top. We're just going to use a couple of seconds. There's one little thing. Listen extra carefully to his question and her answer. Please, go ahead.
Ms. Powers, did USAID fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
We did not fund gain of function research,
That's not the
as
question.
you know.
The question is, did you
Wow,
fund
stop. Coronavirus. The coronavirus is the one that hit us. And as far as gain of function, well, we were up until 2019, we were doing it. Now, I have this from the Obama White House, which is really something. And this is one of the reasons why we were paying other people to do it, because we didn't want to do it here anymore because it was too dangerous. This is an Obama document, a statement of policy from the White House Office of Science and Technology and Department of Health and Human Services. Together, they announced that the U.S. government is launching a deliberative process to assess the potential risks and benefits associated with a subset of life sciences research known as gain of function studies. This is October 17th of 2014. Following recent biosafety incidents at federal research facilities, the U.S. government has taken a number of steps to promote and enhance the nation's biosafety and biosecurity, including immediate and longer-term measures to review activities specifically related to the storage and handling of infectious agents. As part of this review, the White House announced today that the U.S. government is launching a deliberative process to assess the potential risks and benefits associated with a subset of life sciences and research known as gain of function, with an ultimate goal of better understanding disease pathways. Gain of function studies aim to increase the ability of infectious agents to cause disease by enhancing its pathogenicity or increasing its transmissibility. Now, Jesus, excuse me, but what in the hell? What in the hell would we ever be doing that for? I mean, I know we have, and you ever hear NBC? Not the network, but NBC in military. NBC in military stands for nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons warfare. We all know what chemical weapons is. Basically gas that kills you, right? You know, mustard gas. Oh, gosh. It burns your lungs. Used on the battlefield. Terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. It's used in World War I think in World War II as well. And there are other, agents out there that are odorless. Can't see them, can't smell them, but it can kill you on the spot. When I went into Iraq in 2003, we dressed in chemical suits, chemical protective suits. They were big, heavy. I had a gas mask because we were very worried about the chemical, nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons, the weapons of mass destruction. There were none, but we were ready if there were. Gain of function studies happen in America. And what are gain of function studies? Well, the ultimate goal of better understanding disease pathways, gain of function studies aim to increase the ability of infectious agents to cause disease by enhancing its pathogenicity and increasing its transmissibility. No doctor in the world should be messing with gain of function research, because the deliberative process launching today will aim to address key concerns about the risks and benefits of gain of function studies. What are the benefits of gain of function studies? You can kill more people? What could possibly be the benefit? There are certain things I don't think we should do. Hey, all right, you got to have nuclear weapons, okay. Chemical weapons, biological weapons. You know, we have a policy on this stuff. We'll never use it first. That's what we say. We'll never use it first, but we don't say we won't use it. During this pause, the U.S. government will not fund any new projects involving these experiments. Encourages those currently conducting this type of work, whether federally funded or not, to voluntarily pause their research while risks are being reassessed. And this was in effect. I'm not sure when it went out of effect, if it went out of effect. But one way to get around this would be sending money to China so they can do it, because we still want the answers to these questions. Apparently, the deep state. How in the hell you get to a point like that where a bureaucrat like Fauci, something else I found out about Fauci. Fauci, hey, do we have the voicemail just to remind everybody what he really sounds like when he's not being lauded on television, right? What he really, the monster little bureaucrat he is, and what contempt he has for people, regular people, also known as patients. I'll have that as soon as we get back. Be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, I guess you're not supposed to spank kids anymore. I don't know who the hell decided that, but I don't know if that's correct. I think that I need that option. I need that, what's the new word? Optionality. You can't take that out of the parent's toolbox. Right? Now I'm going to play. Here's my daughter. This is not the one who I contemplate spanking. All right. This is the 4-year-old. And, oh gosh, they're both, I love them both so much, but the 6-year-old is kind of acting up. And that's the one I have to kind of contemplate spanking a little bit. How can you not spank? I know. I think that it's a plot to make kids even wilder. Right? Here's Madeline. Go ahead.
Your feet means you play a piano.
Feet don't play the piano. Yeah. Hands play the piano.
No. They don't know how to play a piano.
What does feet know how to play?
Yes.
Honey? Is that it? Honey? Sing me a song. Oh. She didn't want to sing. Oh well. Next time. But all right, she can be very disobedient as well. But the other one's older, and it's almost a little bit. I think she's testing me. Frowning. I think we got to bring spanking back. All right, measured and occasional.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You think can be done about it? I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bull and they get vaccinated.
Wow. How about that? You looked up that research, huh? When you make things difficult for people, they'll get vaccinated. People are going to die if you force them to get a vaccination. If you force them to get an aspirin, if you force them to take a peanut, a certain number of people will die. You gotta give that authority it's just incredible. People make that decision with their physician. And hopefully your physician is Dr. Peter Mikolos, the great doctor. You hear him all the time on WABC. Did you know Dr. Peter Mikolos was a physician inside Rikers? Inside Rikers. Man, that is hardcore. He's board certified. He's got all the credentials in the world. Dr. Peter Mikolos, welcome. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much for letting me come on. And your show is the Truth Center in the afternoon. and you really always try to get the truth out. And there's a lot of issues around vaccines, a lot of issues related to COVID and how we handled COVID, while the rest of the world had access to oral antivirals, and we didn't have access to those antivirals. So now people are talking about that now, because in order to get emergency use authorization for a vaccine, you couldn't have the option of other treatments. There was a antiviral developed in Japan called Avigan, also known as Favipiravir, and Japan, China, Russia, Vietnam, Singapore, Turkey, they all had access to oral antivirals to take early on during COVID, and that's why they fared much better than the rest of us. But vaccines, of course, are important, but those are the DNA vaccines that we got in childhood immunization, like measles, mumps, rubella, because you get lifetime immunity for those. And if you're an adult and you're wondering, am I still immune, you can actually just get a blood test. I actually did it myself last year, and I just checked for measles, mumps, rubella titers. So if you have normal or high titers, then you're protected. If they're equivocal, it's a decision you make with your doctor. And if you have no antibodies against them, as an adult, you might consider, for example, getting a vaccine against measles as a booster. But again, it's different. These RNA vaccines and RNA viruses, the problem during COVID was a new variant would come out. They'd make a vaccine. The problem is the RNA viruses mutate. By the time you got that vaccine, it didn't work anymore. Just like this year's flu vaccine only works 38% of the time because they anticipate which variant might be around next year. But a lot of times we don't get it right. But of course, we have the option of an oral antiviral. If I get the flu, I just have a home test kit, which you can buy at any CVS, Rite Aid. I always travel with the family. I'm the father of triplets. They're 29 now. But if we would travel, we would have the kit. And now with the kit, you can get a kit that tests for flu A, flu B, and for COVID. So you swab. If it's flu A or B, they have Tamiflu or osteomalvir, which is very effective when given the first 3 days.
All right, Doctor, let me jump in for a second. Forgive me, and thank you for your kind words. Look, when a guy like Fauci says what he said in the way he said it, with that kind of, that's just, no physician should be even thinking that way, let alone talking that way, right?
Yeah, the problem is that Fauci didn't actually see patients, and they had the other lady, Ms. Birch, very nice people standing on stage, but they did not have any physicians who actually were treating and taking care of COVID patients. And they make a lot of these statements, and I think that government, and I think even the leadership now, should have doctors up there explaining what is, what you can actually do. Fauci said, don't give people prednisone in the beginning. And, like, for example, one hospital that I know, they were listening to what the guys in Italy were telling them, give steroids early on to block the cytokine storm. They said, don't use hydroxychloroquine. All the studies that have come out, a big national paper that reviewed all the studies around the world, showed that if you take it immediately the first 3 or 4 days, it blocks the cytokine storm. You don't die of the virus. You die from the inflammation in your lungs that makes you like self-drown. But they were telling people don't take it, but it turned out that it worked quite well. The other thing with ivermectin, it did turn out that it does not block viral replication, but in the animal model at the Prestigious Pasteur Institute in France showed that it does. It's an immune modulator, and it does slow down the inflammation and cytokine storm. So that explains why some people were responding to things like ivermectin, but they said horse paste, how can you do that? And also they attacked the president when he mentioned, and they basically took words and shifted them when he said, put light in the lungs and disinfect the lungs. What he was actually quoting was a real study at Cedars-Sinai Hospital where they took near UVA light pipes. Yeah. And when people were intubated, they shot the light in the lungs, and it actually did disinfect lungs. So there was something real, just that unfortunately he didn't have any real doctors who treated patients up on the stage. So that's part of the problem. We need transparency, and we need physicians who actually treat patients to talk about these things and explain them a little bit better.
And maybe physicians, doctors should not be trying to figure out how to make disease more transmissible and more lethal. And that's what gain of function research is all about. I have White House documentation from the Obama White House. That is what.
Yeah,
what?
You're right. I can quickly explain what that is. What happens is what they want to test, if you want to test 10 different drugs against the virus, what you do is, okay, I don't have a lot of time or money, so I'm going to make the virus, I'm going to alter it so it becomes more contagious so that I can test more lab rats and animals and push through 10 different medicines. And that's what gain of function research was about. But the problem is when one of those gain of function viruses that have been altered leaks out of the lab, good luck, because viruses learn to be they transmit very quickly, and initially they kill and they're more deadly, but they mutate and eventually learn, I can't keep killing my human hotel host, and that's why they become less deadly over time. And the same thing happened with the Spanish flu, and the same thing happened with COVID. They eventually learn to coexist with us more, where they become more contagious but less deadly because they need a body to live in. And viruses are interesting because they have intelligence. When they see an infected cell, they know to bypass it and jump to the next cell. And to me, that's pretty wild. That's like unbelievable that they have that capacity.
And they don't have brains, right? I mean, they're organisms, but they don't have brains. So how they figure to do that?
But they adapt and learn. We still don't fully understand it. But I did a show with John Catsimatidis about viral intelligence and some of the features, how these RNA viruses so quickly adapt. And also our gut microbiome has trillions of viruses in it because over time they were once infection, but they eventually learn not to kill us, to coexist with us. And they actually live in our gut microbiome. And some of the bacteria that used to be infections live in our gut microbiome, and they actually help make serotonin, which is the happy hormone for our mental health, and they coexist with us. So it's a fascinating field. But like you said, Dr. Fauci could have done a much, much better job for transparency and could have helped us get antivirals into this country. There's even antivirals that may potentially work against hantavirus. And also the great company Regeneron in New York, which made antibodies against COVID, they also made it for Ebola. And they actually donated to the Democratic Republic of Congo. And we need to preemptively have companies like that to make these antibiotics and make these antivirals available to us in case we have another pandemic.
All right, Dr. Peter Mikolos, do me a favor. What's the name of that beautiful new book that you wrote with your wife?
Oh, The Death of Aging. We summarized all the anti-aging literature, 330 pages around the world. And we also worked with an AI gentleman, actually, who is in Poland, who was in the Forbes 30 under 30. And any topic you put in anti-aging, any medicine, any vitamin, it'll actually, you put it into the AI and it'll pull up all the recent literature from around the world explaining it and why its benefits and any risks associated with it. And that's one of the applications that AI helps. Also, AI is helping with reading X-rays and MRIs. One study showed that it picked up pancreatic cancers earlier than the human radiologist. So there are places where AI is going to help. Also reading pathology slides, pap smear tests for women, and also electrocardiograms. So that's going to be an exciting area where AI will help.
The Death of Aging. I love the title. I love the idea because I would.
And I love your show, and a lot of people where I am out here, a lot of people love your show because you always get the truth out with warmth and good humor.
Well, Dr. Peter Mikolos, it's an honor to have you, and thank you for your beautiful words, kind words toward me and your information. So best to the wife. We'll be looking for The Death of Aging, and so appreciate you, sir.
Okay, think positive and test negative. The plan of the day.
I love it. I love
Take
it.
care.
Okay, take care now. Think positive, test negative. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, we are back as we bring this show in for a landing. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Let's see here. We got line 2 here. As Thelma said to Ed Norton in The Honeymooners, who are you? Line 2, who's this? Bump up the volume. Who is this? Sorry, I don't have your name. Hello. Hello. All right, we'll try line 1. I do have his name. Gerard, are you there?
I am, Mr. Kelly. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem. What's going on?
I called last week, and you were kind enough to let me put my social media contact information out there about this great American sing-along song that I have.
Oh, and, yeah, I remember you. I wasn't really that into it, but we let you promote your name. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't that into it. So what do you want now?
I want to follow up. I know you weren't into it, and this is, I don't ordinarily do things like this, but when you said you weren't into it, were you not into my my ploy to you to get you to listen to it, or did you actually hear the song?
No, I just, you were very, how do I put this? I don't know. I mean, you wrote the song and you said it was great. That's kind of up to the listeners. That's up to everybody else. And I told you, well, put it on social media, see what happens with it. Go ahead and get it out there. You don't need me. You don't need the radio station. Get it out there and then let it come to me that way. You were taking a shortcut, I thought.
Well, I appreciate your perspective on that. I don't want to disagree with you or be contrary by any means. I can't believe you guys even put me on the air. But I'm thinking, even with your eclectic music, that I've been a long time listener. Yesterday you spoke about that you don't go to concerts as much anymore because they just kind of don't do it for you, which I understand. But have you found that, like, when they sing "Sweet Caroline" at Fenway or these other big songs, that it doesn't have like a healing?
No.
People?
No. Not for me. You know what? They ruined that "Sweet Caroline" song by Neil Diamond. Because "Sweet Caroline," and then the whole damn crowd goes bam, bam, bam. Like they just get into it too much and they ruin the song. I love Neil Diamond. I like the America song better than any other song. The Patriot in the Patriot category. So all right. So where does this leave us?
Here's where it leaves us, sir. I think that you need to, on my behalf, wave your magic wand to some of your staff and have somebody listen to it and say, "My goodness, Mr. Kelly should listen to this song." That's what I want from you, sir.
Well, I don't have a magic wand, and the staff can do what it wants. I'm not gonna boss them around and listen to this song. Well, sing it for us. Sing it real quick.
I found myself, I woke up living in America.
All right, thank you very much for that. I can name that tune in 5 notes. No. All right, what's your social media again? If anybody wants to listen to it, they can do that. What is it? This is not music, by the way. This is talk radio, not music. What's your social?
We are Gerard and the St. Mark Saints. Out of New York City, Gerard and the St. Mark Saints. We're on.
All right. You can Google that, find this guy, listen to his song, make it a hit. But it's not my job. Gerard, I wish you all the luck in the world with it, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Just so long as your needs don't run afoul of my needs. Okay. Thank you very much, Charlie. Hello. How are you?
Hey, Greg. How you doing? Long time. Haven't talked to you in a while. I called up. You were talking about Fauci and how he was with the plane of the fussing around with the coronavirus. I was at a party a number of years ago with my brother and my nieces and whatnot. They're all diehard Democrats. They're all nurses and things like that. And they were praising Fauci, like, oh, what a great guy he was. And they turned to me and they said, "What do you think, Charlie?" And I go, I'm pissed. And they were like, why? What's the matter? And I said, people are futzing around with things that they shouldn't be futzing around with. And I was genuinely pissed that we were doing this gains of function stuff. And at the time, it was all conspiracy theory that the virus came out of a Wuhan lab. And they were saying, it came out of a wet market. It was like, what are you kidding me? Give me a break. And it was like everybody was fighting at the table. It was ridiculous.
All right. This is not pleasant to relive this argument you had how many years ago?
I'd say about maybe 3-4 years ago.
All right, so you had this argument. Then what happened?
And then, we all looked at each other. We lifted up our glasses, and we had a drink. What the heck?
Yeah, I like it. What the heck? What the hell are we doing? Futzing around. You made me nervous when you said futzing around. I thought you were about to say something else. Well, anyway, Charlie, you were very observational, very observant, and you're on it, and I love it. Best to the family, that diverse family of yours politically. All right, Ed, is this Ed on the line too? Do we get his name? Is that Ed?
Yes, it is, Greg. Real quick,
Hi.
I just want to tell you, Madeline is correct. Easy on her. I looked it up on the internet. There's a number of pianist prodigies that were born with no hands and arms and went on to be great pianists and were able to play the piano with their legs.
Well, wait a second. She's got her hands. She's got hands. Let me hear it again. What did she say to me? Look, she can't. Come on. A kid shouldn't be using their feet on a very fancy, nice piano. We went all the way to Jersey for this piano. I don't think what was she saying again? Go ahead.
Your feet makes you play a piano.
Feet don't play the piano.
Yeah.
Hands play the piano.
No. They don't know how to play a piano.
What does feet know how to play?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I get it, Ed. Yeah, there are people out there. I once saw a woman on 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace, back when 60 Minutes was good, and she had no arms, and she drove around town with her legs and went shopping with her, just her legs. And she was spunky and with it and cool and beautiful, by the way. And if you watch the episode, I saw this when I was in 6th grade, possibly. And you could tell Mike Wallace was into her, and she was into Mike. I don't know what happened. After they called it the rap. After they turned the cameras off, but something probably happened. She was an amazing woman. I'll never forget her. Hey, man, thanks a lot for that. You're right. Beautiful. My daughter was right. All right. Do we have time for one more? What are the categories here? Ooh, Peter wants to say something about chemical warfare. Peter, are you there?
Yeah, you were talking about it before, Greg. I'm saying Chinese are sending the fentanyl over to the cartels in Mexico, right? And then making the pills. And they're killing all the military age people mostly, and nobody refers to that as chemical warfare. Like it's killing more people than if they did drop one of those gas things in a town or something. That would only kill the town. But these pills are all over the country, and they're killing everybody. Why don't they refer to that as chemical warfare?
I think you're onto something. Maybe we should put that in their arsenal. That and all these transgender videos and crap they're pushing on us. They're not into it, but they got a lot of people here hooked on it. That's Chinese influence. Our enemy. Not our friend, Joe Biden, our enemy.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?